What up, everybody in the YTBC? So, Bloodboxing put out a video titled YTBC Socialism, and I actually wasn't going to make this video because I saw that, well, for one, Bloodboxing doesn't really like response videos, but also, there's already been a bunch of response videos that have been made about this, but I feel that there's really just some things that should be said. I think I have something to bring to the table. So I'm just going to, just going to go ahead and talk about this whole thing. For those of you who don't know, Bloodboxing, it's pretty much, he didn't say this, but it seems like this is going to be the case for the foreseeable future, is that Bloodboxing, when he uploads videos, he's going to have comments disabled. Recently, he's had to block people, delete comments, and like I said, he didn't say this, but part of what I took away from his video is that he's going to not really going to allow anybody to comment on his videos. And he did say that he's not going to be putting out as much content because of, these circumstances. And of course, it has to do with race. People being racist, and also he is saying that he doesn't feel like he could be himself. Doesn't feel like he can criticize certain fighters the way that he wants to because those fighters are black, and people with racial based agendas, that's what I'll say. Not everybody's racist, it's just racial based agendas are, he's basically creating fuel for them to use for people on that racial based agenda. So I think it's a shame. I think Bloodboxing is a really funny guy. I personally, my favorite genre of movie is comedy. I love comedy movies. If you have a movie that'll make me laugh, then it's a movie that I'm gonna love. So I think he's a really funny guy, but it's a shame that he really feels like he can't be himself and do things the way he wants to do because it'll be used against, people of his race, which is completely understandable. It really is a shame. Let me go ahead and tell y'all a little bit about myself. From as far as I can remember, I have always been someone who never cared about race. I never did. And I've told this story once before, but I told it very briefly. Now I'm going to go a little bit more in depth of this story. So back when I was in first grade, I was at school one day and I witnessed a kid calling a bunch of other kids the N-word. I personally, up to that point in my young life, don't remember hearing that word. So I went to the first adult that I knew, which was my teacher. Now, my teacher actually happened to be black. And when I asked her what does that word mean, and when I asked her, of course I said the word. But and of course she got offended. She thought I was trying to be funny. But then she realized that I was being genuine in my question, that I was legitimately asking her what that word meant. So when my father went and picked me up from school, she thanked him. She told him, "I want to thank you for raising your son right. And I'm 30 years old. So at the time, she may have witnessed a lot of racist kids, you know. I mean, I'm not saying that my generation or that generations before mine were definitely racist, but, you know, it's definitely a possibility based on how long she had been teaching up to that point that she may have experienced racist children. It's a possibility. But she did. She thanked them. And my dad went and told my aunt, his sister, the story. Now, my aunt is married to a black man. Okay, so my uncle was black by marriage. So he told her the story and she didn't believe it. So they called me into the living room and they asked me, you know, what color was my uncle. Now, keep in mind, I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I said he was white. And they just laughed, and then my aunt said, "What color am I?" And my aunt, she's Mexican, and you know, Mexicans can range to pretty much white to not black, but Mexicans can be fairly dark. So, and she is not on the darkest end of the spectrum, but she definitely is a darker tan. And I said she was black, and she got mad. But that's just an example of me. I was, as far as I can remember, I've never really cared about race, and that's carried on into my adulthood. I've never been racist. And it's funny because I have been accused of being racist on the YTBC. Not many times. And it's far and few between. But when it does happen, it's always somebody who's completely irrational. Last time it happened was like a month ago. Me and another person had a beef here on the YTBC. And there was a comment that I made on one of Jay Cotto's videos, because he mentioned Semi from Coming to America. And I just commented straight out of Zamunda. And this individual tried to say that I was racist for making that comment. Now, anybody who knows me, like really knows me, knows that I'm a movie buff. I really like movies, and I know a lot about movies. A lot of times I get references in current movies that other people don't get because I've always watched movies. You know, that's just the way it is, you know. I'm more knowledgeable than a lot. I wouldn't say than a lot of people, but I definitely know a lot about movies. I've almost done like some movie reviews on my channel. And as much as I like movies, I don't have the passion to do the videos for them. So I've decided that I'm not going to do that. But for the purpose of this subject, you know, the subject matter, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it out. So, Coming to America is actually a movie that I hold dear to my heart. More than one reason. One, it's a comedy. You know, it's one of Eddie Murphy's earlier comedies. You know, it's the first movie where he did like multiple characters. Like The Nutty Professor, you know, how they're sitting at the table and he's doing the aunt, the uncle, the grandma, all these people. Eddie Murphy's playing all these characters at the same time. Not at the same time, but in the same scene. And Coming to America was the first movie where he did that. So, but one of the reasons why I really like that movie is that is actually the movie that kickstarted or launched, I should say, Samuel Jackson. That was Samuel Jackson's first major movie. And even though he had just one of the smallest parts, and that's that scene where he goes into the McDowell's restaurant and tries to rob it. That's the only scene he's in the whole movie. But had he not been a part of Coming to America, there's many movies that would have either not happened or would have been affected, because Samuel Jackson has an extensive resume. I mean, he's done anything from like some garbage movies to movies that are known as like all-time greatest movies. This man was in Jurassic Park. This man was in he's worked with people such as M. Night Shyamalan. You know, he's worked with Bruce Willis multiple times. He's done it all. And then he's been in some garbage movies. You know, I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. That's the best part of the whole movie. It's just that one line. The rest of the movie is garbage. But, and he actually, this summer, he is actually going to be working with Tim Burton for the first time in a movie called Mrs. Peregrine's House for Peculiar Children. And I'm also a big Tim Burton fan. But anyways, I said all that to say this, all right? My point is, had he not been in Coming to America, one of my favorite movies may not be one of my favorite movies today, which is Pulp Fiction. Samuel Jackson is one of the main people in main characters in Pulp Fiction. And, you know, had he not got that break, had Eddie Murphy not given him a little bit of shine in Coming to America, that movie may have not even happened. You hear about movies that they cancel due to casting issues all the time. So, Coming to America, in my opinion, is actually a historically important movie in cinema history. That's my opinion. I think it's very important, because just look at all the contributions that Samuel Jackson has made since. So, the whole reason why I brought up that is, this individual accuses me of being racist for making the comment straight out of Zamunda. I'm a movie buff. Okay? Was it really out of the question for me to be referencing the movie and also making a joke out of the Straight Outta Compton title, making a reference to that title? Did it have to be about race? Was that actually not a possibility whatsoever? And this is something that we see in the YTBC all the time. This person said this, and there's no explanation other than they're racist. This person doesn't like that fighter, and there's no other explanation than they're racist. Oh, this channel's black, but they said this about a black channel, or a black fighter, they're a coon, or somebody who has a racial agenda that maybe they don't like, maybe they are actually racist and they don't like black people, will take something that somebody like Bloodboxing or another black channel says against a black fighter, and it's not racially motivated whatsoever, but this person wants to take that and twist it and use it to feed their agenda. This is the problem that we have in the YTBC. why does it have to be about race? Like, even if the reason why you like the fighters you like is because they're the same race as you, I don't consider that racism. I don't consider that racism at all. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your people. But when somebody else criticizes them, or just because another person is of the same race as you, but they don't support the fighters that are the same race as you because they have other criteria for fighters that they support, do you have to attack them? Do you have to label them as a coon or whatever? It's not necessary. Everybody likes fighters for different reasons, and even if that reason is race, does not necessarily make that person a racist. And if you like people for that reason, that's fine, or fighters for that reason, that's fine. But not everybody of your race doesn't necessarily have to see it that way. And what really irks me is now we have channels that they feel like they cannot say what they want to say because it's going to be taken out of context and be used to fuel something that I consider to be evil, which is racism. So it's a shame, but I don't blame them either. You know, I've seen these videos where people were talking about flagging these channels for this reason, and then on the other side, these people were saying flag those channels for that reason, and all this stuff. I've seen all that, but I refuse to get in the middle of any of that. I haven't flagged a single channel yet for any reason, because my agenda is not to flag channels. My agenda is to promote boxing. So rather than focus on the negative stuff that don't even have to do with boxing, I'm focusing on the boxing itself. I'm giving some shine to some young channels that are coming up, just like Eddie Murphy did for Samuel Jackson, because who knows? I've already had like 3 channels that I spotlight surpass me. The very first one that I did was Diplomat 34, aka the Fact King, and he has something like almost 600 subscribers or something like that at this time. And Brandon Keeler, the boxing truth, these guys have all surpassed me in subscribers, and I'm happy for them. And I'm gonna keep doing this. You know, when I come across a channel that is just starting out, I will promote, and I feel that they're legitimately talking boxing, I'm going to promote their channel. Why? Because they could be the next, they could be the next channel that ends up with 30, 40, 50,000 subscribers talking about boxing. If it ends up being me, then I don't have a problem with that, but I'm a humble guy. I'm not going to act like I'm the next messiah of the YTBC. And it is, and there's plenty of channels that are just so underrated. Like Quintarius Coleman. Let me give a quick shout out to Quintarius Coleman real quick. I've done a spotlight on him. But here's something that everybody needs to know. If every boxing fan was like Quintarius Coleman, had the same mindset, not talking about liking the same fighters or any of that, but if they had the same mindset as this 21-year-old man, YTBC would be a lot better. And the reason why is because he keeps it 100% real. Like, I've heard people say, I keep it 100. This dude never says it. He just does it. He keeps it 100. And I'm proud of that dude, man. That is my bro right there. Quintarius Coleman, he is an awesome channel. And you listen to him talk about Adrian Broner, who's his favorite fighter. He is Adrian Broner is he's one of his biggest critics in my opinion. But he does it straight out of love for Adrian Broner. He lets him know, hey, I'm one of your biggest fans, but you can't be doing this. You can't be making these mistakes. You are just tarnishing your legacy. And he does the same thing for all his favorite fighters. He keeps it 100% real. So big shout out to him. And like I said, if we had more fans like him in the YTBC, this community would be much, much better. But as much as I love the YTBC, and I gotta keep it real, there's too much of this race baiting. There's too much of this bullshit that goes on, and it's really hurting the community. If you don't believe me, just watch that video that Bloodboxing did titled YTBC Sociology. It doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. It can be fair. It can be where everybody can enjoy themselves while keeping their dignity, while keeping their integrity, while being real and say, hey, I like this fighter. These are the reasons, without somebody saying, no, the only reason you like that fighter is because you're racist. Or the only reason why you don't like that fighter is because you're racist. It's not cool. People feel like they can't be themselves. Now, me on the other hand, I'm here to break this cycle. I'm here to, and I know that's reaching for the stars. I know that the racism will always be there. It's like I said, as long as there's ignorant people, racism is going to exist. And we know ignorance is always going to be around. But if we can just set the example, I know I can't do it by myself, but maybe something I say here will strike a chord with someone who then will set an example, which will then strike a chord with somebody else, and each of these people strike chords with multiple people. It could end up becoming a movement. We all bleed red. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. We all bleed red. A couple months ago, I took my girl to this place to eat dinner. And it's not even a restaurant, but this place has like a club type environment. It's like a golfing driving range, and they got it. If you've ever been to a golfing driving range, you know, you hit balls and try to see how far you can hit them and stuff. I don't play golf, so I'm sorry if I sound ignorant, because I am. But at this place, they have like these spots that when you hit the balls, when you land in these spots, it gives you points, and there's a scoring system, and everything is kept score electronically. It's a lot like bowling, but instead of using bowling ball to knock down pins, you're hitting a golf ball trying to hit these areas and to get a score. But at this place, they have like 4 floors. They got like club type music. They got bars, you can get drinks, and they serve food. And if you sit on the top floor, you're outside, and there's fire pits. So me and my girl went. I took her there. We went to the top floor. We sat near a fire pit. And unless your party's big enough, which is like 6 people, to take up all the seats at the fire pit, you're gonna end up sitting with strangers, because this place gets packed. The night we went, it was like a 5-hour wait if you wanted to play the golf game, driving game. We didn't play. We actually just went there to get dinner, but I thought she would like it, and she did. She loved it. But anyways, we were sitting by the fire pit, and an older white couple came and talked to us. Now, me and my girlfriend are both Hispanic. Okay, and we're there eat, this couple was white. Not that it matters to me, but it does serve a purpose for why I'm telling you this. So they must have been in their 50s or 60s. The husband was an avid golfer. They had went like hours before. We're told that they were, how long the wait was. So they got their place in line, got something to eat, and then they came back and they were just chilling with us and chatting. And they were ordering drinks, and me and my girl, we were eating. And we had a great time. All right? Now, just this weekend, we went to a theme park, and we went to go see this ice skating show that they do there. And the auditorium was packed. I mean, really packed. So there was not an empty seat in the whole place. We just so happened to be sitting next to a black couple, a younger black couple. Throughout the whole show, the dude would like make comments to me, and I'll make comments back, like friendly ones, like about the show that we were watching. At the end of the show, he was like, "I really enjoyed that," and I told him, "Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it a lot," and it was a good interaction. It was enjoyable. All right. Now, in the case of when me and my girl went to go get dinner, that was an older white couple. I'm sure that they've seen racism and have lived. They lived in a time where racism was more acceptable. As time goes by, racism becomes less and less acceptable. Okay. Now, I don't know these people from, back when they were younger, but a lot of people get stuck in their ways. But these people were not that way. They didn't care that we were Hispanic. They weren't telling us. They didn't see us and then walk away from the fire pit or sit down and try to make us leave the fire pit. No, they talked with us. And there was other people at the fire pit who were Caucasian as well. They could have did their best to try to conversate with them, but no. They conversated with us. They didn't care. Same thing with when I went to the theme park. That couple could have just sat there, enjoyed the show, and acted like we weren't even there. But they didn't. They talked to us, we talked back, and we had a good time. Our community can be that way. We can all get along and not be in this Salem witch trial, this continuous Salem witch hunt. Just like I said, I know that the racist people exist. First off, the beauty of YouTube is on the internet, and you can simply block racist people. You can simply ignore racist people. You can act like you don't see what they're saying. And it's not cowardice, but they will be discouraged to be the way that they are if you ignore them because they're being racist. Eventually, they're either going to leave the community, they're going to go in, or they're going to go and be a part of their own little racist community, or they're just going to stop being racist. But instead, there's a lot of people who just want to point it out and try to expose and listen. It's only hurting the community. I'm sad to hear that Bloodboxing feels like he can't say some of the stuff he wants to say. He can't be himself. And there's others like him that feel the same way. Quit the bullshit.